In the introduction, gap method was used where the ideal situation is to have a proper mindset on programming languages because proper mindset is one of the greatest assets one can have in computer programming. In addition, if a programmer has a proper mindset, he is willing to do everything to achieve his goal. However, in this current era that we live in, people tend to only get the high level view of how things work rather than to understand the details. For example, students use copy paste instead of developing their own program so that they can really understand what programming is. Therefore, this study aims to know what characterizes the mindset of successful Filipino programmers on programming languages so that this study may be used to help the aspiring Filipino programmers to be successful in the near future.
The study intended to lay out the mindset of Filipino programmers on programming languages. The data gathered from the core researchers can be used as a basis to formulate a core syllabus based on their understanding and mindset towards programming language, and have it approved by the Commission on Higher Education, or it is called CHED. The core syllabus can be carried out to help computer programming students to have mindset that is needed for programming language and to deeply understand the use of programming language because based on the article from Manila Bulletin, Philippine Software Industry Association conducted an assessment using Proxor to know if Filipino IT students are knowledgeable about using programming language, and the data shows that 52% of the IT students that took the assessments are not hireable.
According to a study conducted by Creswell in 1994, this inquiry is qualitative because it characterizes mindset based on having complex image and informants, relevant view on programming language is studied practically. The mindset is considered as a complex image because a complex image cannot be explained briefly with small details. It can only be understood if you have all the complete details. The human problem based on this study is the difficulty of students in programming language and will be analyzed by the researchers. The form of this research will be a phenomenology, and its objective of it is to understand the mindset of Filipino programmers in programming languages. Phenomenology is the study of structures of consciousness as experienced from the first-person point of view. The goal of the research is to arrive at the description of a nature of the mindset of Filipino programmers on programming languages. In selecting the co-researchers, the researchers must be purposive. It is purposive because there are a set of criteria given by the researchers and they are not randomly selected. These criteria for choosing a co-researcher is as follows. They must have at least 2 years of programming languages in their respective jobs as programmers. They must at least have an experience in at least one programming language and must be proficient in programming. They must be a Filipino to be included in the study. The location of these co-researchers is within Metro Manila because the most number of programmers in the country is located here. These criteria was considered because of the availability of the co-researchers and time allotted for the conduction of the field research. These following criteria were chosen because of the standard requirement in that field of expertise and for the study.
The data is gathered by conducting an in-depth interview on Filipino programmers to characterize the mindset of Filipino programmers on the programming language. In-depth interviews are a qualitative research technique that involves conducting intense individual interviews with a small number of respondents to explore their perspectives on a particular idea. In-depth interviews are useful when you want detailed information about a person's thoughts and behaviors or want to explore new issues in depth. Before any interview was to be conducted, a letter asking for consent for the co-researcher to...
This study is conducting a phenomenological research and choose COLAIZZI'S method of data analysis. COLAIZZI'S method of data analysis is rigorous and robust, and it ensures the credibility and reliability of its results. Researchers using a descriptive phenomenological approach should consider using this method as a clear and logical process through which the fundamental structure of an experience can be explored. COLAIZZI'S distinctive 7-step process provides a rigorous analysis with each step staying close to the data. The end result is concise yet all-encompassing description of phenomenological understudy, validated by the co-researchers. The method to be used for validating is conducting a questionnaire. A questionnaire was used to question the co-researchers if the findings made sense and if they understand it. It also questions if the findings matches with their mindset.
The progressive mindset continuum was formed from the results. Elements and purpose are placed at the bottom of the arrow because it is the foundation of the mindset of a Filipino programmer on programming languages. Since it is the foundation, these two can't be removed but they also progress and expand. The mindset expands because of two factors: technological development and their knowledge, which progresses to keep up with technological development. The arrow does not only gain height, but it also gains width to represent the expansion of the mindset.
In the findings, this study have four clusters, which are elements, purpose, technological development, and progress. First is the elements. Elements refer to the characteristics, description, building blocks of programming language, and its nature. Based on the data gathered, 6 elements were revealed. These 6 elements are logic-based, symbolic, varied, addicting, difficult, and purposive. First, programming language is logic-based because the proper way of thinking in understanding the programming language is needed to be logical. Second, programming language is symbolic because it contains symbols that represent the whole solution, but according to one respondent, coding is what powers technology today. It is the foundation of innovation. The symbol of technology is simply the programming language. Third, the programming language is varied. According to a respondent, she stated that consider the computer language when approaching the problem because different languages, although they are similar, they have different syntax. Where she explained that programming language consists of a lot of elements needed to code. Fourth, the programming language is addicting. According to a respondent, he stated that meron tayong tinatawag na dopamine. So yun yung parang nakaka-addict. So ulit-ulitin mo kapag nagagawa mo na yun. Where it can be seen that programming is a kind of habit by the programmer. Fifth, the programming language is difficult. Most of the respondents stated that mahirap siya, pero with the use of motivation and your passion, magiging madali din. Where it can be concluded that passion and motivation will make you a better programmer. Last but not the least, programming language is purposive that every problem of the world will solve through this. Respondents said that it's for innovation, where it can be concluded that programming language can change everybody. The third cluster is technological development. Technology has been useful in order to solve problems. As the time passes by, technology becomes advanced. According to the respondents, technology evolves and progresses. Every year, there are new inventions and innovations that are introduced to the whole world. One respondent said that, pumupunta kasi ako sa mga convention, kaya may mga na-introduce na mga new technologies too. To summarize, the evolution of technology does not stop, but rather continuously develops.
Go.
The last cluster is progress. The key mindset of programmers is that programming languages progresses due to technological development, which causes the foundation of mindset, which are the elements and purpose to be expanding as well. Every time they learn programming language, the way they understand it changes and grows. A respondent compared programming languages and human language on how they progress as the technology develops. She stated that, just like with the human spoken and written languages, the earlier you learn, the higher the chance you get really fluent. And a language is something you need to keep learning until you reach a certain level of fluency.
Overall, this phenomenological study created the progressive mindset continuum, which depicts on what is the mindset of a Filipino programmer in order to understand programming language easily and help mitigate the difficulty in understanding programming languages. It is also stated that programming language as a whole is expanding, thus having the mindset as well. Findings of the study shows the experiences of Filipino programmers toward programming languages and showcases the significance of using programming languages in this era. This study can lay out a course syllabus which can help information technology students to deeply understand